Alright, so this month I decided to go and do for the 12 months of challenges something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and that was going to do a Professor Oak challenge, and started wanting to do it in Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. And know what a Professor Oak challenge is that you are catching every Pokemon possible and evolving them and filling up the Pokedex as much as you can before a gym badge. There's plenty of videos online as well as a super helpful subreddit which I'll go and post at the end. But the game begins by going and catching Eevee as the starter, but you don't have the Pokédex yet, so it doesn't technically count, but still it has to go and be done. It kind of shows you the mechanics of the game. Then you actually do go and get your starter, which again, in Let's Go Eevee is Eevee, then get the Pokédex, so now the challenge is really starting, and the story continues on as it normally would. Now it's going to be a bunch of catching and evolving, so it's going to go slightly quickly, so forgive me for that. But we head back to the lab and then really kick this thing off by going to Route 22, catching a Spearow, catching a Nidoran male, and then we decided that, you know what, we also need a Nidoran female. So those are the three things on Route 22 you need to go and pick up. Next, we head into Viridian Forest to catch a Caterpie, because all of the bugs are going to be in here, as well as a Weedle. As I said, all of the bugs. Catch not one but two Pikachu for reasons later. Go and evolve Caterpie into Metapod. The next battle evolved Weedle into Kakuna. Pretty fast for both of those. Found a Bulbasaur eventually, needed to get that. Knew that was going to be a pain. Then went out to Route 2 to catch a Rattata because of the higher levels out there. Caught a Pidgey for the same reasons, and then went and caught a Bellsprout as well for those same reasons. Higher levels means less grinding needed to be done. But then had to go back into Viridian Forest to go and do all of the grinding. Eventually evolved Metapod into Butterfree as well as Kakuna into Beedrill. Those were pretty fast and simple to get out of the way. Then Nidoran male evolved into Nidorino, and Nidoran female evolved into Nidorina, knocking those two out because we can't get Moonstones yet. Pidgey evolved into Pidgeotto, very simple there, and Bulbasaur evolved into Ivysaur. Now both of those are going to be hanging around for a while. I mean, Spearow evolved into Fearow pretty quickly after that, as well as Bellsprout into Weepinbell, and then Rattata into Raticate. So again, taken care of there. Ivysaur eventually evolved into Venusaur, and Pidgeotto evolved into Pidgeot, which meant I could take on Brock and easily win. From there we went to Route 3, where I caught a Charmander pretty quickly based on the catch combo that I had, and Ekans shortly followed after. Went to the Pokemon Center, bought a Magikarp, went into Mount Moon to begin to catch everything there, such as a Zubat. Then went to catch a Geodude without any sort of issue. Then caught a Paris right afterwards, decided I need to go down and catch a Clefairy because that would be needed. Then picked up the Helix Fossil to get that part taken care of. Went back to go and catch an Onix, which took more time than I want to go and admit. Caught a Clefable to save on a Moonstone there, but I used the two Moonstones I found to evolve a Nidorino and Nidorina into Nidoking and Nidoqueen. Went to Cerulean City to get a Alolan Rattata. Went up the route to go and catch a Venonat. After that, Charmander evolved into Charmeleon, caught a Meowth right after that, then caught a Squirtle after it appeared, and finally caught a Psyduck, which was really everything needed to be caught there. Magikarp eventually evolved into Gyarados, then had Zubat evolve into Golbat, Ekans evolve into Arbok, Geodude evolve into Graveler, and Squirtle evolve into Wartortle. That was a bunch of things, as well as Paris evolving into Parasect, Meowth evolving into Persian, the Alolan Rattata evolving into Raticate, and Charmeleon evolving into Charizard. We also had Venonat into Venomoth, and Psyduck into Golduck. That was a ton of things, with ending with Wartortle into Blastoise, beating Misty, going to Route 5, avoiding a Pidgeotto at all costs. Went down, caught an Abra. That was much easier than catching a Jigglypuff, easy as well. Went down to Route 6, caught a Vulpix. Used all the Meowths I had to be able to pick up an Arcanine, because you need 5 Meowths to get an Arcanine. Went into Diglett's cave to go and catch a Diglett. Went over, picked up an Alolan Geodude. went over onto the route to go and pick up both a Drowsy and a Mr. Mime to get those taken care of, went back into the cave to go and eventually find a Dugtrio, evolved Abra into Kadabra upon the SS Anne, then with our new fancy ability went to continue on the journey and caught a Krabby, because who needs roots, caught a Machop in the rock tunnel as well as a Rhyhorn. Then we went and picked up another Diglett, picked up another Vulpix because the Alolan forms decided to go into the game corner. Then went back to Lavender Town, caught a Ghastly, evolved Diglett into Dugtrio, caught a Cubone as well there, much stronger. Then caught a Haunter to evolve, having to evolve Ghastly at all, save that little hassle. Got the Pokeflute, caught a Snorlax. That was a fun fight that you have to go and do. Caught a Doduo, and right next to it was the Machoke Machoke and then Marowak evolutions, as well as a Dotrio that was standing next to the Doduo. Caught a Ponyta on the Pokemon Road. Caught a Rapidash right after that because Cycling Road doesn't exist anymore. Drowsy evolved into Hypno, and then had to catch 3 total Eevees for all of the evolutions. Picked up a Marowak in Fuchsia City, went back now with our surfing to catch a Goldeen, decided to not go and wait for the Seeking and go surfing down to the power plant where I caught a Tentacool, then caught a Tentacruel because that also showed up and was spending way too much time waiting for the Stratini to show up, but eventually I did go and catch one in the power plant, got a Voltorb, as well as a Magnemite as soon as I walked in, then got an Electabuzz shortly after that. Then I decided to have Krabby evolve into Kingler, all part of this stuff going on. Was caught right afterwards, a bunch of training, eventually caught an Electrode, caught a Magneton, and then finally here I caught a Weezing, meaning everything I caught I didn't need to evolve, except for the Geodude evolved into Graveler. Eventually, after a long fight, was able to go and pick up the first of the birds of Zapdos, went back by the Pokemon Elite to catch a Poliwag, caught a Tangela, then a Staryu shortly after, eventually caught a Farfetch'd, then caught a Horsey, which was all sporadic, along with a Tauros, just wandering everywhere, and in that Horsey evolved into Seadra. Waited forever, finally caught a Pinsir, took about an hour, same thing with Kangaskhan, took forever to go and do. Went to the Pokemon Mansion, caught a Magmar, Poliwag evolved into Poliwhirl, found a Ditto in the basement that I was able to go and catch, and then I was able to get the fossils over to Aerodactyl from the one, and then Ammonite from the other. Picked up an Alolan Meowth, went to the Seafoam Islands, caught a Slowpoke, a Seal as well, and then went on to catch a Jinx, a Shelter, a Dugong, evolved Meowth into Persian, catch a Slowbro after that, evolve Ammonite into Amistar, and then get the second bird with Articuno. That evolved Dratini into Dragonair, and then went to Silphco to pick up a Lapras, pick up the Master Ball, which would come in handy later, pick up a Porygon out on the street where you get Pokemon, I guess, then decide to evolve Pikachu into Raichu, trade it over to get another Raichu, then do a bunch of stones such as Vulpix into Ninetales, and then the Alolan version of that was next. Shelter evolved into Cloyster, Staryu into Starmie, Victory Bell from Weepinbell, Jigglypuff into Wigglytuff. Then I went and had the Eevee evolutions of Flareon, Vaporeon was right after that, then went into Jolteon for all 3 of those evolutions, ending it with Poliwhirl into Poliwrath, eventually Goldeen evolved into Seeking, and picked up Hitmonlee from the Karate Master. Pretty much set for this section, and finally able to go and get gym badges once again. Weird, I only have 2, but then Rhyhorn evolved into Rhydon, and Dragonair evolved into Dragonite, and finally could take down all 4 gym leaders who were in the area. By area, I mean the rest of the place. That was finally a thing. I had to go to Route 23 to pick up an Execute, immediately used the Leaf Stone to evolve into an Executor, then was able to take down the final 2 gym leaders pretty easily, head to Victory Road to go and catch a Winged Bird of Moltres, then picked up a Hitmonchan to really go and end it there with an Executor, and then just decided to smash the Elite Four with my super powerful Eevee that I had at this point, because Eevee was part of everything, and that just made sense to me. Became the champion, but that wasn't over yet. Now, I decided to beat the Elite Four and had to go and still do a few more things. I got my world expanded and had to go to Cerulean Cave to really end this out. So I got a Lickitung there, which wasn't difficult at all. Eventually found out Miracoat is super powerful to be able to take down Mewtwo, which then allowed me to catch Mewtwo with the fancy Master Ball I got at the Sylph Co. No issues there, it was caught, but I wasn't done yet. And the thing that eluded me for a while was the final fossil, which was Kabuto, and then immediately evolved it into Kabutops. And that was the entire game, and I ended with a time of 22:20, which was amazing to me, and I don't know if I would ever want to do it again, and it was probably one of the easier ones to go and do, but it was a lot of work, a lot of fun, a lot of stress, and yeah,